Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad I could finally meet you if this is your first time. And if this is not your first time and you're a returning subscriber, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to welcome myself back to this channel. It's been a while, but we are back and it will be better. Yeah, it will be better. I have a slight issue. Should I say slight? I had an issue with my phone. The phone actually served me for a while. So, and then I needed to get a new one, but I couldn't afford it at that time. So I need to calm down. Like, calm down, Adeyemi. You get a new phone when you can afford it. And thank God I have what I can use at the moment. Okay, so I will be doing a series on forgiveness. So, which means that for the next 3 weeks, I'll be talking about forgiveness in my next 3 videos. But for the purpose of this video, I will be talking about forgiving yourself. Yes, I feel that is where I should start from, forgiving yourself. If you've not subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe. That's very, very important. Forgiving yourself. You know, we've heard a lot of persons tell us that forgive other people, forgive that person, you don't do, forgive them, forgive her, forgive him. But, you know, because nobody knows that you are actually struggling with forgiving yourself, most persons don't even tell us, or we seldom hear people tell us, forgive yourself. I'm not saying people don't tell us to forgive ourselves, but it's not as popular, it's not as common as we have forgiving other people, as we have people tell us to forgive other people. And that's the purpose of this first video on forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Because I don't see how you can pour from an empty bucket. If you really want to forgive other people in truth, then you need to start by forgiving yourself. You need to know what it means to enjoy forgiveness, to actually be free, to free from hurt, to be free from offense, to be free from bitterness, hatred, and all of that. You need to experience it. You need to experience it firsthand before you can extend it to other people. The book of Ephesians chapter 4 verse 31 tells us that we should let go of any form of bitterness, wrath, anger, hatred, and any negative thing at all, that we should let them go. And that is what forgiveness is all about. Forgiveness is letting go of something that once hurt you, letting go of something that once pained you, that once caused you pain, that once caused you negative emotions and all of that. That is what forgiveness is all about. You know, in our days, we see people going about with bitterness, hatred, anger. Someone you know for like 6 months, you've known the person to be a bitter person, and then the person is still bitter. Why? It is more of an internal issue than it is on the outside. If that person could look inwards, you see that there is a root of unforgiveness going on inside of that person. And that is why you see people post very beautiful pictures or amazing content on social media, and then you see someone still saying something negative about that picture. Then you wonder, hey Joe, what is wrong with this person? There is actually nothing wrong with that person. There is actually nothing wrong with that post, but something is wrong with that person. And then so people tend to be going about giving out hatred, giving out negative energy because they are not happy with themselves. So the best favor, one of the best things you can do for yourself and to yourself is to forgive you. We've all had things we've done in the past that we are not proud about. We have things we've done in the past that we cannot even share with anybody. Like, if I should say that I did this in the past, people will be looking at me like, oh. But you know, the interesting thing about this thing is that is not who you are again. You've left that place. That is not where you are. That is not who you are. Your past does not define you. You are now in a better place. Now you know better. If you should go back with what you know right now, I'm very sure you would not have made the same mistake. So just give yourself grace like you do to other people. Give yourself grace. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate to yourself. And just forgive yourself. That is not who you are. And sometimes some mistakes are disguised as blessings, because probably God does not want you to take that step at that time, and then he allowed you make a mistake so that you would learn and see what he was trying to teach you. Sometimes there is not even sometimes, most times there is a lesson in every mistake. So if you cannot change what had happened in the past, if you cannot rectify what happened yesterday, why not utilize today and make the most of today that you have with you? If you keep remembering what happened 5 years, 10 years ago, and then you keep crying, crying, and crying over it, until when are you going to enjoy what is happening in the present? So, one of the best things you can do to yourself is to forgive yourself. And according to our tradition, I will be sharing with you some beautiful tips that would help you to forgive yourself. The first thing I'll be talking about is you focusing on your emotion. Okay, so this thing happened, and how do you feel about it? What emotion is this thing bringing out of you? Like, some things happen and then you're bitter. Some things happen and then you're hungry. Some things happen and you're hurt. Some things happen and you're whatever. But how exactly do you feel about this? Focus on it. The best way to fight the enemy is to know who your enemy is. If you're fighting someone you don't know, then you might not even know how to go about it. But if what you feel about this thing is anger, then you know that, okay, you're dealing with anger, and then you know what and how to deal about it. So don't ignore your emotions. Don't ignore whatever emotion this thing has brought your way. Accept that, okay, this is how I feel about it, and be ready to work on it. So the next thing is accept that you have made a mistake. As in, accept that you don't FK. If you don't know the meaning of FK, ask your neighbor. Accept that you've done something that is not good. You've done something that you cannot be proud of, and all of that. Don't ignore it. You have to talk your way out of it. Don't try to avoid it. Face it. Mistake don't happen. No, yawa don't gas. Wetin I go do? You know what I'm talking about. Don't worry. I'm trying to learn pidgin English, so that's why I'm speaking like this. Well, on a more serious note, accept that you've made mistake. One funny thing about mistakes is that there is always a lesson to learn from a mistake. There is always a lesson to learn from a mistake. So don't beat yourself to it. Don't be too hard on yourself. You've done what you shouldn't have done, or you didn't do it well, and you know that if you had done it like this, you would have done better. Okay, now the deed is done. What do we do about it? Accept that you've made a mistake and learn your lesson. Okay, what can I learn from this thing? That is the best way to see it. What can I learn from this? And then if I am going to do this thing again, how do I do it better, such that the same occurrence will not repeat itself? I think that would be better. Number 3, give it time. Yes, give it time. You heard me right. Give it time. Forgiveness will not happen suddenly. It will not happen abruptly. It's not like you wake up and you say, oh, I'm forgiving myself. No, it doesn't work that way. Give it time. Forgiveness takes time. It takes process. There is a place of you. Even you accepting that you've done something wrong it takes time to accept that you've done something wrong. Sometimes you might be giving yourself excuse. If I had known better, I would have done it better. If this thing had not happened, I wouldn't have fallen down. If this thing had not happened, it's because I was I was not in a good place, or I was because I was born in Nigeria and all of that. You try to give yourself excuse. So acknowledging the fact that you've made mistake is a process, not to now talk of you getting over it. It's going to take time. Yeah, so give it time, and don't spend forever on it. It's okay to give it time, but make sure you're not spending the best of your days in unforgiveness. So you want to move on as quick as possible. Make sure you're giving it enough time, because if you don't give it time, you will just see yourself going back into it. Give it enough time, but make sure you're getting better by the day. Number 4, another thing that could help you to get over what had happened in the past that you're not proud of is you might want to write it down, especially if you're someone that you really don't want to talk to somebody. You might want to write it down. Writing down helps you to unleash, like it relieves you of that stress that is going on in your mind. So you want to write it down and then pen down, okay, this is what happened, while writing down, there are some things that would make you giggle, like, wow. Then there are some things that will still annoy you. While you're writing down, you feel several emotions while you're penning these things down. And when you're done, you ask yourself, how do you really feel about this? And then sometimes you might want to keep what you've written down, and then you might want to see it again to see how your healing process is taking place, and as in how well you're doing with forgiving yourself. But until you can actually discard that thing you've written down, you can finally decide and say, I don't need this thing again, let me just discard it. You might still be struggling with unforgiveness, but the moment you pick it up and say, no, this thing belongs to the trash, and then you trash it, you're trashing unforgiveness as well. You're trashing negative emotions as well. But don't say you want to do it immediately. You might still want to keep it and see it the next day. So give it time and pen it down. When you pen it down, you feel several emotions, and when you do, you decide what you want to do with it. And 5, while you are harboring unforgiveness towards yourself in your heart, check if it is not from the place of pride. Sometimes we feel too proud, and then we feel we cannot make mistakes. So when you make mistakes as a proud person, you will keep flogging and flogging yourself. Nobody knows you're doing that, but you know that you're doing that to yourself. You keep flogging yourself. How could you? A whole Hadiyemi. Nobody is condemning you, but you are condemning yourself like, you. How could you do this? How could you do that? Make sure it's not pride. Because if we were perfect, or if we are perfect, we would not need God. We all need God because we are not perfect. So it's okay to give yourself that grace of being human, that grace of being fallible. Like, I can make mistakes, I can fall. And then this is it. I have fallen. This is the human aspect of me. I have fallen. So the best thing is to pack myself and stand up. Don't start flogging yourself. How could you? How could you? Make sure it is not pride. Number 6, quiet the voice of condemnation. When things happen, when things we are not happy about or we are not proud of happen to us, there is this voice of condemnation and guilt that comes from that critic inside of us. And then there's this voice of grace that tells you, okay, you've done this thing. What can you do to do better in the future? What can you do to make it better? What can you do what can you do to make sure it does not repeat itself again? So I would advise, and it is best that you listen to the voice that tells you, that does not condemn you, that does not make you feel less of yourself because you've done something. It is okay to listen to that voice that gives you grace, like, okay, you've done this thing, don't do it again. What can you do to make sure it does not repeat itself? What can you do to make sure you are better even when you are faced with the same situation? And 7, I beg, be kind to yourself as well. A lot of us, we are this large-hearted kind of person. We are so good to everybody. You forgive people as soon as they offend you. You are like an angel on earth. But right inside of you, you are suffering, you are struggling, you have a lot of things going inside of you because you are struggling with forgiving yourself. You're not kind to yourself. You feel, how could you? People are looking up to you and you have done that. No, you shouldn't have. And then you are making it so hard and difficult to forgive yourself. Please, calm down. Yoruba will say, "Ere Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Show yourself some compassion. Cut yourself some slack. I beg, give yourself grace. You've done this, you've done this. Be kind to yourself. Speak kind words to yourself. Whenever your memory goes back to that thing, say kind words to yourself. I have done this, I will not do it again. I have done this and I will do better going forward. I have done this, but I am forgetting it and I'm remembering. I am making most of today. Please speak best things to yourself as well. And finally, number 8, seek help if you feel you need one. If you need help, if you need assistance, talk to a professional. Talk to someone that would help you and that will take you through the process of forgiving yourself. I say this almost all the time when I'm talking about emotion, when I'm talking about healing, when I'm talking about negative emotions. I tell you and I advise that you talk to someone because it cannot be exhausted. Talking to someone cannot be exhausted. You just need somebody you can trust and you know that can help you get out of that mess. So you want to talk to a professional, you want to talk to someone you trust and you feel can encourage you to see the bright side of the whole thing. And as I wrap up, I would want to say that forgiveness is not complete if you still feel pained by that event. If you think about that thing and then it still causes you pain or light of hurt, then you've not forgiven yourself. But if you get to that place where you remember that thing and then you're like, things happen, but we got to move and we'll be doing better in the future, then you've completely forgive yourself. So don't avoid the things that had happened. Make sure you bring it back to your mind once in a while to check if you've really forgiven yourself. And if you've forgiven yourself, after checking within you that you've forgiven yourself, let it go. Like pata pata, let it go completely, because you don't need it. Who needs a negative emotion around them? No, you don't need it. So you face front, enjoy today. Okay, so that will be all for now, and until my next video, don't forget to love yourself passionately and be good. Bye.